In November of 1977, a 13-year-old girl named Megumi Yokota disappeared on her way home from school in Niigata, Japan. The disappearance of a teenager is always a tragedy, but this case, Megumi's case, grew into something far more complex, emotional, and political than anyone could have imagined. What began as a seemingly isolated missing person case turned into a decades-long mystery involving international espionage, abduction, political denial, and global headlines. This is not just the story of a murder, it is the story of a young girl caught between nations and a family who never stopped searching for her. It was a chilly evening on November 15, 1977. Megumi, like any typical middle schooler, had just finished badminton practice and was walking home. Her route was familiar, a short stretch along the sea wall near the coast of Niigata. She should have reached home in minutes. But that night she never arrived. Her parents, Shigeru and Seiki Yokota, were instantly alarmed. Their daughter was responsible, punctual, and never the type to wander off. When the Yokota family reported her missing, police began a local investigation, believing it might be a case of kidnapping or possibly even a tragic accident, someone lost at sea. They searched the coastline, questioned classmates, and scoured the neighborhood. But Megumi had vanished without a trace. No clues, no witnesses, no answers. It was as if she had evaporated into thin air. For years the case went cold, and for years her parents lived with an unbearable silence. But what happened next is where this story takes a turn that few could have predicted. Years passed, and then in the late 1980s and early 1990s, whispers began surfacing in Japan. They involved strange reports of North Korean agents operating covertly in Japanese coastal towns. These were no longer rumors. People spoke of abductions, Japanese citizens taken by force to North Korea for reasons unknown. The idea sounded like a conspiracy theory, but in time this theory began to gain credibility. In 1997, 20 years after Megumi disappeared, a group of Japanese lawmakers and journalists began digging deeper into these rumors of North Korean abductions. Among the names that surfaced in their research was Megumi Yokota. This new theory shocked Japan. Could it really be that Megumi was not murdered but kidnapped and taken to North Korea? As investigations continued, a pattern started to emerge. Other Japanese citizens had gone missing in similar ways along Japan's western coastline. Young people, often alone, who simply vanished. In 2002, Japanese Prime Minister Junichiro Koizumi made an unprecedented diplomatic trip to Pyongyang to confront North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-il. In an astonishing moment of political drama, North Korea admitted to abducting 13 Japanese citizens in the 1970s and 1980s, including Megumi Yokota. The country claimed that Megumi had been taken by boat to North Korea to serve as a Japanese language teacher, helping train North Korean spies to pass as Japanese citizens. According to their version of events, Megumi had lived in North Korea under constant surveillance. They also claimed she had married another abductee, a South Korean man, and had a daughter. Most devastatingly, they claimed that she had died by suicide in 1994 at the age of 29. They even provided Japan with what they said were her cremated remains. But here is where the case becomes even more heart-wrenching and suspicious. The Japanese government conducted a DNA test on the remains provided by North Korea, and the result, the DNA did not match Megumi or her family. Japan rejected North Korea's explanation and declared the remains to be fraudulent. This sparked outrage across the country. The Yokota family was devastated. North Korea had acknowledged the abduction but now appeared to be hiding the truth about her fate. Many in Japan accused North Korea of fabricating Megumi's death to shut down the conversation and ease diplomatic tensions. The story of Megumi Yokota became a symbol, a national tragedy that touched every Japanese heart. Her parents, Shigeru and Seiki, became tireless advocates for abductee families. They gave hundreds of interviews, appeared in documentaries, and addressed the United Nations. Their mission was clear: bring Megumi and all abductees back home. In 2006, the story was adapted into a manga and later an animated film titled Megumi, which portrayed her abduction and the heartbreaking journey of her parents. The Yokodase faces became known, worldwide symbols of relentless love and quiet endurance in the face of unbearable uncertainty. Here is something that might make your blood run cold to this day. The true fate of Megumi remains unclear. Her daughter, Kim Yoon Gyeong, was later discovered to be living in North Korea and reportedly met with Megumi's parents in Mongolia in 2014. The meeting was arranged under strict conditions and secrecy. However, whether Megumi was truly alive at that point remains disputed. Some believe she might still be alive and being hidden by the regime. Others accept the possibility that she passed away long ago, but not in the way North Korea claimed. The North Korean abduction program was not random. It was strategic and chilling. The regime reportedly wanted native Japanese speakers to help train their spies. These operatives needed to blend in perfectly if they were to infiltrate South Korea, Japan, or even Western countries. Abducting innocent civilians was not only an act of international crime, it was an assault on the very concept of humanity. Japan's government has continued to press for a full accounting of all abductees, not just the 13 admitted. Advocacy groups believe the number may be closer to 100. To this day, families wait for answers. Some cling to hope, others search for closure. But no one forgets, Megumi's story is not just about crime. It is about the dark side of geopolitics, where innocent lives are pawns in a ruthless ruthless game between nations. It is about how one girl's walk home turned into a mystery that gripped the world. And it is about how a family's love can withstand decades of silence, lies, and heartbreak. If you are still with me, here is a moment to truly reflect. What if it were your child, your sister, your daughter, walking home just a few blocks away, and she never returns? Then you wait for answers, and wait, and wait. For 20 years, only to be told she was taken to a secretive dictatorship, used for a purpose she never chose, and then possibly died alone in a foreign land, or worse, maybe still alive, waiting for help that never comes. This is why the story of Megumi Yokota continues to echo through time, because it is not only a tragedy, it is an open wound. Despite his age, Megumi's father, Shigeru, continued the fight until his death in 2020. He passed away without ever knowing what really happened to his daughter, but his legacy, and that of his wife Seiki, is written in history. They turned personal grief into national purpose. They spoke not only for Megumi but for all the families left in the dark by the North Korean abductions. Over the years, the Japanese government established the abduction issue headquarters, and abductee recovery has remained a key diplomatic issue. Every meeting with North Korea includes a demand for a full resolution of the case, but progress has been painfully slow. The world tends to forget stories like Megumi's. The headlines fade. Other news takes center stage, but for the people of Japan, and especially the families still waiting, this case never fades, it burns. Quietly, powerfully, and it reminds us that the victims of geopolitical crimes are not statistics. They are children, students' daughters, and sisters. They have names, they have families, they have futures stolen by cruelty cloaked in secrecy. Megumi would have been in her 60s now. She could have been a mother, a grandmother, an artist, or a teacher. But instead, she is a question mark, and that question still haunts the world today. So the next time you hear about diplomacy, spy games, or global politics, remember that sometimes they start with something as simple and human as a girl walking home after badminton practice. That is where Megumi's story began, and that is why it should never be forgotten.